Welcome back to the Thrive360 Podcast. My name is Mitch McKinney. I'm the founder of Thrive360 Ministries, a ministry that is dedicated to helping people lead healthy and finish well. Excited that you guys are joining us for this episode. And guess who's back? Monty?
It's me.
You're here. Welcome back.
Glad to be here, man.
Welcome back. Welcome back. At the retreats that we host for leaders, we spend a lot of time talking about and working on growing in self-awareness. And I know that you've been doing this work longer than I have. You've been teaching this stuff for a long time. How has your view on self-awareness changed over the years?
You know, it's funny. Early on, I kind of thought of self-awareness like it was genetic, and you had the gene or you didn't have the gene, and it was like belly buttons.
Yes.
You're an innie or you're an outie, and all the outies wanted to be innies.
Yes.
And here's the thing: if you had the self-awareness gene, which I of course did, you had a superpower that helped you see all the people who didn't have the gene.
Right.
And it's just crazy that was the way I looked at it, and then all of a sudden I realized no, I lack self-awareness. And
your kids help you.
My kids did help with this. Yeah. My daughter said something to me about, the dad voice. And I was like, I don't have a dad voice. She goes, you have a dad voice. I said, I certainly do not. No more questions. She just speed dialed her sister on speaker. Says, you know that dad voice? And her sister says, which one? I'm like, which one? I don't think I have one. And you're saying I have more than, are you saying I have two? And she's like, oh, you have more than two. I'm like, what are the two? And she says, well, there's the, if you know what's good for you, you'll stop doing that.
Right.
Dad voice.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, what's the other one? And she said, I can't believe you're that stupid, Dad voice.
Oh, no.
And I'm thinking, those were all inside voices.
Right.
I didn't think those were coming out.
Right.
And so it did help me see that we all lack self-awareness.
Yeah.
And that there is no magic gene. It's really just a matter of, in what areas do I lack self-awareness, and then how big's the gap?
Right.
So we've all got gaps. It's a matter of finding them and trying to make them a little bit smaller.
Yep. I don't know how many voices I have. My family has told me I have the so you're trying to tell me voice.
I'd know that one.
Which is not a good voice, right? So you're trying to tell me. So I'll have to ask them.
Yeah.
So you're right. We all have self-awareness. This is something that we all struggle with. We all have blind spots. From the work that you've done, the leaders that you've worked with, are there some common blind spots that you've seen?
Well, man, the biggest one, and this is like a basket of blind spots, and it falls under the header of how people experience you and how people experience your leadership. And that could be in a relationship, it could be in a leadership context, it could be in a good side, like leading through good things, leading through change, leading through bad things. But we walk away from an exchange feeling like we nailed it, or at least feeling like, hey, that was fine. And we don't realize how something we said landed, or how something we said not only didn't land, but it was actually really hurtful or really disturbing. And we totally miss it, and we skip on down the road like everything's great, and what's behind us is this burning buildings.
Yeah, I know that you've had some experience talking about how it impacts other people when it comes to change, right? And we talk about the baseball example.
Yes.
You want to talk people through that? So it's great.
Well, our perspective of change is so relative, right? And so when as the leader, when I want something to be different, it's, of course, I'm the author of that change. So I'm going to accept it much more readily than everybody else who has to implement that change. And then the impact that change has on me as the leader, it is a little bit like standing at home plate. And for me, the pivot from third base to first base or from first base to third base, all I get to do is turn my shoulders, rotate my hips, and I'm done.
Yep.
But if you think about it, like when it rains and they got to roll out there, they got to fold out that infield tarp.
Old school, yep.
Yep, old school. And for me, it's just zip, zip, zip.
Yeah, because you're standing at the pivot point.
For the guy out at the end of the infield tarp, he's got to run not just from first base to third base, but he's got to run from the warning track on the first base side, the dugout, to the third base dugout. And so every little change for him is however many yards that is, he's got a dash.
Yeah.
And I'm just doing this. And
you're
I totally
wondering,
miss the impact.
Right. You're wondering why people would have any problem with that.
Yeah, it seems so irrational.
Yeah.
What's so difficult about this?
So what some listeners may not know is that this has been a big
We've
insight
lived this out.
for you and me because for 12 years we worked together,
Yeah.
and you were my leader, my boss. And there were often times when this conversation, this tension came up where you're just like, hey, we just need to, and I'm like, Monty, I don't think you understand. Like, it's not just this. Like, I got to run here and run there. So I'm glad that you've grown.
No,
that-
so being aware of it and then doing something about it are two different things.
Yeah,
but it
exactly.
starts with that awareness thing and understanding how people experience me. Because how I present myself and how I think I present myself,
Yeah.
it could be worlds apart from how people receive me.
Yeah, two different things. How do we identify them? So if we all have blind spots, how do we identify them? How do we overcome them? Is it possible?
Well, it's possible, but we need help. I mean, blind spots are blind spots for a reason. It's because we can't see them. And so we do need to invite other people into that conversation. We need to solicit that. When it comes unsolicited, we need to listen to it, receive it. We need to give people permission, because sometimes as the leader, people feel like, it's not my job. Like, Mitch is the boss. Who am I to tell him, right?
Yeah.
So we have to invite it. We have to have a posture of humility that welcomes the input. Otherwise, we're not going to get it, and we'll just keep cruising along, making the same mistakes.
Yeah. It seems like leaders, and maybe it's just in my circles, have a hard time doing that. They have a hard time building the right circle around them of people, and not just building the right circle, but inviting people to speak into their life.
Never experienced that.
Yeah, right. Whatever.
No.
But why is that? Is it because we don't want to be called out on our stuff? Is it because we're afraid that if we give people that insight that they're going to think differently of us, or we're going to look weak? Or, I mean, is there some common?
There's a bunch of reasons, and some of them that were just flat unhealthy. Sometimes we don't even invite it, but often, even when we invite it, we criticize it, we disagree with it, we reject it out of hand because we can explain it away.
Right.
That's just an isolated thing, and it's because you're sensitive and what you heard wasn't what I said, or it wasn't what I meant, and so we can just be dismissive or explain it away. Sometimes we say we want it, but then actually don't.
Yeah, like
It's like this. We're saying, hey, I'd love some feedback. And that's what we say. What we mean is, I'd love for you to compliment me. If you could give me some good feedback, I'd feel better about myself. I'd feel better about my leadership. And so when you come at me with something that maybe isn't all glitter, then I'm like, I'm not sure I like this. I'm not sure I agree with it.
Yeah.
It's just hard to stay open to that. And it's not like some leaders do, some leaders don't. Every leader struggles with tough feedback. Yeah. Even those who invite it and accept it, it's still tough.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
You don't like to hear it.
Yeah.
That's just natural. And it's okay. But not liking it doesn't mean I have to reject it.
Yeah. So it's not just help me see them and speak into it, but it's like you actually have to take that feedback and apply it.
100%. Yeah. I need to be open to the idea that I'm only one perspective. And if I'm a leader of 10 people, there's at least 10 other perspectives of my leadership. And some of them may align, and it's not like they're going to be 10 radically different experiences with me.
Yeah.
But I've got to be open to the idea that I'm missing some things with certain leaders.
Yeah. I love the perspective of, like, we need to grow in self-awareness from the standpoint of how people experience me, right? Because most of the time we're just trying to figure out how we can better communicate with other people. But to put yourself in the other person's shoes and say, okay, well, if this is how I'm wired and this is how I am, how do people perceive me?
Yeah. So this gets into, when I like to think of leadership as part art, part science.
Yeah.
Yep. And just like the sports where you get 2 scores, where you get technical marks and you get artistic marks, you don't do too well if you're only good at one of those things.
Right.
And a lot of times when it comes to this kind of feedback, we're going to zero in on technical marks, and we're going to soothe ourselves with, well, I made the right decision, and I made it at the right time, and I communicated it clearly. No, that's the science of leadership.
Yeah.
Good job. You got the X's and O's right, but you missed the art of leadership.
Right.
which has to do with the relational side, the inspirational side, the bringing people along and unifying people around even tough change. But certainly when change can be tough for anybody.
Yeah.
Because it may be better for the organization, but it means my job just got a lot more complicated.
Yeah.
So I've got to be as good at the art as I am at the science.
People have a tough time with change that they're not authoring, right? Like if you author change, it's like, oh yeah, I'm all about change.
Yeah.
Have a great response.
You kidding me?
Yeah.
I had sourdough instead of rye yesterday. Fantastic. How do you handle it when it just shows up the wrong way?
Right.
That's what's going to tell you
That's a whole
little bit more about how you handle change.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic. We were just met with a leader, and he's growing in this, putting himself in the other perspective, and he had gone through a retreat.
Yeah.
So he had some tools and he had some awareness. But he was telling the story about how as much as he had the tools, he wasn't applying it very well. And so he was talking about how he was talking about an event or something that was coming up, and he could just see people's eyes like freaking out,
this.
and he's like, so one of the next steps for him was like, I need to actually take these tools. I know my blind spots, but I need to take these tools and I need to actually apply them, because as much as I know, I'm still like running people over in the process.
He understood why.
Yeah.
He understood his wiring and his orientation to opportunity.
Yeah.
And he understood his audience had a different wiring and a different orientation to change and opportunity. What he missed was knowing that's not enough.
Right.
Like, I've got to understand and adopt some of the language. And I think that does become the leader's job.
Yeah.
I need to be the one that is adaptable to those I'm leading and helps them see. I bring ideas to them in language that's going to land with them. Yeah. And it was really cool to hear him talk.
I mean,
about
our natural default is to think that everybody thinks like we do, and they don't. That's talk about like a self-awareness gap. It's like blind spots. Like, yeah, you don't. This is how I think, and this is how you. And I know you think like me. And if you don't think like me, then what's wrong with you?
Right. It's because you're not smart like me, or you're not flexible like me, or you're not creative like me. Yeah. And instead, it's got nothing to do with any of that. It's just you're wired differently. Yeah. And it was really cool because he got there, he self-discovered, but he self-discovered with some help. And so that's so much of this journey. The self-awareness journey is about self-discovery, but we need other data points to help us. Otherwise, if we're just working with the same data, we're not going to have breakthrough. We're not going to see new things. Yeah. And having some of his, in that retreat, some of the things other guys were saying, that's why it kind of landed. He had that aha moment where it's like, oh, I'm using the wrong language. Yeah.
That was really good. Really good. Good conversation, a much needed issue that needs to be addressed. We're going to keep this conversation going in another episode.
Amen.
And I have a feeling you'll be back. You're coming back at some point?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I love hanging here with you.
Well, thank you for hanging out. Thank you guys for hanging out with us as well. Make sure that between now and our next episode that you like and subscribe this channel on YouTube or whatever platform you're viewing this on. And also, we want to invite you to take part of and subscribe to a free resource that we provide through Thrive. It's like a monthly check-in where we provide information and insights about leader health. It's free to you. All you have to do is sign up. You can go to our website, Thrive360.com, all words, no letters, Thrive360.com. Sign up there, and we'll get that to you. Between now and then, you guys be safe. God bless you. We'll see you next time on the pod.